Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online gathering today. My name is Hannah, and I am part of the Christmas Bowl team here at Act for Peace, and we are so honoured that you are joining with us today. People are attending our online gathering from locations all around Australia, and I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we all meet today, and pay my respects to the custodians of land, waters, and culture, and their elders past, present, and emerging, including to those of Aboriginal culture meeting amongst us today. And I'm speaking with you from the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people here in Canberra. Now, before we kick off today, I'd like to just start with a little bit of housekeeping. As this is a webinar style format, we sadly can't see all your wonderful faces. However, if you would like to ask a question, right at the bottom of your screen there should be a little Q&A box, and you'll be able to type your questions in there. Now, we don't have any allocated time for questions today, but we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have along the way, or we will get in touch with you in the next few days. I'd also like to introduce our speakers who are joining us this afternoon. You can't see their faces just yet, but joining me are Andrew Hassett, CEO of Act for Peace, Aimee Keay, Communications and Content Manager at Act for Peace, and Ruthann Richardson, Chief of Engagement at Act for Peace. We'll also be sharing a video with messages from some of the staff on the ground who will be sharing some updates on the work that you're supporting through your gifts through the Christmas Bowl. Now let's start our time together with a time of prayer. Please close your eyes and pray with me. Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks. We thank you for the witness of your church, for congregations across this country who through the Christmas Bowl have responded with generosity, compassion, and faith. We thank you for the lives that have been touched, for families who have found safety, for communities beginning to rebuild, and for hope that is taking root in places of deep hardship. All of this is your work, O God, and we are humbled to be part of it. As we gather today, open our hearts to hear the stories of your people around the world. Deepen our understanding, and renew in us a spirit of justice, mercy, and love. As we look ahead to Refugee Week, we pray that you would guide your church, that we may not turn away from those who seek refuge, but instead recognize Christ in the stranger. Give us courage to respond, wisdom to act, and compassion that moves beyond words into faithful action. Bless the resources shared today. Bless the conversations that will follow and the communities that we serve together. May we walk together in hope, trusting in your presence among us and ahead of us. In the name of Christ, who journeys with all who are displaced. Amen. I'd now like to hand over to Andrew, CEO of Act for Peace, to provide an update on the Christmas Bowl. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Hannah, and hello everyone. It's a real privilege to be with you today. Our loyal supporters of Act for Peace, and of course the Christmas Bowl, whether it's congregational members, pastors, church leaders, everyone here that has supported the Christmas Bowl. First thing I'd like to say, I'm relatively new at Act for Peace. It's been a truly wonderful experience joining the team here and being part of a team that is just so committed and passionate around justice and walking alongside those living in poverty around the world, and those that are in need of a guiding hand and support as they themselves do everything they can to improve the lives of themselves and their family. As you probably know, Act for Peace is the international humanitarian organisation of the National Council of Churches here in Australia, and we work with supporters in Australia and around the world, as well as with and through partners overseas, to prevent and respond to displacement, people forced from their homes due to conflict and environmental stresses. The Christmas Bowl has been running for 76 years. It's hard to believe that it's had such an impact, not only on churches around the world for so many years, but also being able to deliver impact for and with communities overseas. Some churches and individuals have supported the Christmas Bowl for decades. And I just really want to say a big thank you to all of you that are here and all that supported and participated in the Christmas Bowl for 2026. Those that came together in solidarity, and to walk alongside those that are suffering in the world, those that are living in poverty for no fault of their own, and those that are working very hard to change their own situations and just needs a compassionate hand on their shoulder. And that's what the Christmas Bowl is all about. It's also more than donations and giving. It's about an opportunity to put faith in action, both inside and outside the four walls of our churches. It's a time to pray. It's a time of humility as well as generosity, demonstrating leadership in your own congregations. And together across Australia, the church continues to make a massive difference in people's lives beyond Australia's borders. 702 churches across Australia have so far donated $1.7 million. And we simply could not do the work that we do each day without this incredible support from the Australian public, and in particular, the churches that we have long-standing relationships with. We're very grateful for that. I was speaking to a supporter a couple of weeks ago who had donated some money to the Christmas Bowl, and he told me that he'd been participating in the Christmas Bowl since 1973. And it's just so encouraging when you hear some of those stories of long-standing, loyal supporters that are committed to make a difference and are willing to support those that have less opportunities in life. Um, so with the funds and that are generously donated, we are supporting families to rebuild their lives following displacement, strengthening communities so they become more resilient and adaptive to conflict or climate emergencies. We work with communities around strengthening livelihoods and sustainable farming so that people aren't forced from their homes in search of safety, and they can remain with their communities, their families, their culture, and their histories. And this is what you've been part of, and your churches have been part of. So it's not just about meeting immediate needs, but it's really about restoring dignity and hope and helping communities themselves chart a long-term sustainable future. Local partners, in which you'll hear a bit from today, are really important parts of how we work at Act for Peace. Local partners understand the context and the communities in which they work. They understand the history. They understand both the challenges communities face, but also the solutions. And that's why it's so important that we develop long-term relationships with our trusted partners overseas to work together over many years at the community level. So it's really about churches being part of something much bigger than themselves by joining with other churches across Australia and communities overseas. And this work continues, and your partnership continues to matter deeply. So looking ahead, we are in the process of setting a strategy for 2027 to 2029. And one of the things that we're committed to is to deepening our relationships with churches here in Australia, not just at Christmas Bowl time, but throughout the year. We are committed to being more present within churches and within communities to create more opportunities for ongoing connections, conversations, and shared mission. This is going to be a really important part of what we do over the next 3 years and beyond. So your church is not only a supporter, but a critical partner in this work and the broader movement to push for and support peace with justice around the world. So I'd like to encourage all of you to get in contact with us following this webinar to be able to give us any ideas or things that we can do better or in a more meaningful way to support our stronger relationships over the coming years. But we know that this is not just about humanitarian work, it is deeply theological. Displacement and conflict, as you no doubt seeing on your screens each evening, is on the rise. So there's over 132 million people around the world that are displaced. And just to put that in context, that's 5 times the amount of people that live in Australia. The conflict in the Middle East that is happening right now has led to over 4 million people being forced from their home in search of safety. So at this point, I'd just like to share a prayer, and it's Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. So just join me in prayer. God, who is known by many names, draw us to your heart, to the deepest sighs of grieving souls, so that we may stand and mourn with them for the loss of their kin, taken by hunger and disease, taken by bullets and bombs, accused as enemies of the state. Bring us to your heart, to the songs of people's melodies. They sing lullabies and hymns that long for freedom. Their voices reach out to the highest heaven like a prayer. Lead us to their music so that we can sing with them and pray with them until the song of freedom unites us all. Bring us to your heart, to the dance of the people's rhythm to struggle for life that leads their movement towards justice and vision of peace. So that when we breathe in the wind of shalom, we will know that victory is in us. Lead us to your kind heart, to the poems of people's tears that tell of their humanity. Bring us to their stories of courage and hope, woven together so we may collectively find your presence, your peace that surpasses understanding and action. We long for peace, a peace that sets us free from oppression and exploitation, a peace that is just and enduring, a peace that restores and celebrates our God-given humanity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Really appreciate that message. I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'd like to hand over to Aimee, who will be sharing an inspiring update on how your church is making an impact on the ground in Indonesia. Thank you, Aimee.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you everyone for the opportunity to share today. It's a real privilege. So in February, I had the opportunity to travel to Indonesia to meet our program partner, YCWS, which stands for Yayasan Sitawada Swadaya. It's quite a mouthful, much easier to refer to as YCWS. And I visited the CLEAR program, which stands for Community-Led Early Action and Resilience. So this program you can see on the map here is located in Makassar, South Sulawesi, which is a low-lying region that experiences very high rainfall and rapid sea level rise. So these combined risks means it's extremely prone to flooding. And with widespread poverty, the impacts of climate-related disasters in this region are enormous. So the CLEAR program is helping communities prepare for disasters and ensure they can respond and recover effectively. The program achieves this by working in the community to make sure every resident knows how to prepare for and respond to the reoccurring floods. So that's through sharing early warnings, helping with evacuation, and providing emergency financial assistance so vulnerable community members are supported to evacuate safely and meet their daily needs during floods. CLEAR also supports the community to access alternative livelihoods so community members have reliable sources of income to meet their families' needs. During our visit to a local community in Makassar, we learned directly from residents how flooding is severely impacting their lives. The relentless nature of the floods in the region is definitely overwhelming. You can see from this photo here, one of the community members, Saneng, is showing us how high the floodwaters rise outside her home. And this is a frequent occurrence. This happens multiple times a year. And little did we know, only a week later, after we returned home, these exact streets where we'd been standing dry on the road the week before were completely flooded just the following week. But the community-wide impact of the CLEAR program is remarkable. Every person we met told a story of how the program has made a huge difference, either in their own personal life or throughout their community. Adifa is the head of her household and provides for her teenage daughter. She has always struggled to meet their daily needs, and every wet season, her home is impacted by flooding. She told us, when there is a flood, we do not earn anything. We feel ashamed. We are ashamed to go and ask others for help because we are poor. Adifa has a small business selling vegetables, and through CLEAR, she receives support to grow her business, increase the quantity and variety of goods she sells, and improve her income. With that assistance, she says, I was able to slowly turn it around little by little until it became like this. Before, I only sold chilies, tomatoes, and leafy vegetables, but now I can buy onions, buy sago, buy other mixed ingredients as well. So from my sales, I can save a little at a time, and I can also give my child some money for groceries. One of the ways the program is achieving sustainable community-led change is through establishing local disaster committees. They are known as Kampung Siaga Bengkanas, or KSBs, which function as community-level drivers of preparedness and resilience. These groups are made up of trained community members who coordinate preparedness activities, mobilize residents and communities, and serve as the first point of coordination during flood risks and emergencies. These community disaster committees regularly run training and drills, testing emergency equipment like life jackets, stretchers, radios, and first aid kits, so they are ready to respond. During the wet season, the local KSB helps ferry children safely across the flooded rice fields in small boats so they can get to school. And when a flood is coming, the KSBs make sure residents are warned and have plenty of time to evacuate, sharing information on WhatsApp groups and conducting door-to-door visits to make sure vulnerable community members, including the elderly and people with disabilities, are supported. Women's enterprise groups have also received support and training to grow small businesses so they can work together in a collective to produce and sell products. This means entire families have access to reliable incomes that can sustain them through regular floods. This group you can see here in the pictures, they produce chips from bananas, which they package and sell in their community. And churches like yours make it possible for Act for Peace to support our Indonesian partner to deliver this program through a local organisation based in Makassar. The most rewarding part of this visit was seeing the comprehensive community-wide impact of the program that is realised because of the locally led approach. Transformation is taking place because leadership is centred locally, from the local governments, municipalities, and even the village leaders who support the program, right through to the volunteers who are so passionate about seeing change in their communities that they give their time to help their own community members prepare and respond to disasters. It's amazing to see how support from churches like yours through the Christmas Bowl is having such a huge community-wide impact in Indonesia, for individuals like Adifa, for women's groups, and for the entire community through volunteer-based disaster committees. Your generosity and commitment to stand alongside communities who would otherwise be facing repeated displacement is helping them become resilient to the impacts of frequent flooding by helping families stay at home, helping parents continue to earn an income to meet their children's needs, and helping communities support each other so they can recover from disasters. So thank you so much for your dedication and support.
Thank you so much, Aimee. Oh my goodness, that was so inspiring to hear about the work on the ground in Indonesia, and you were there, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago. So this is incredibly new, and it's wonderful to hear about the impact that churches across Australia are having. Right now, we're going to share a video. The videos are from local partners all around the world that you have supported through the Christmas Bowl. These will also be sent out to you after our gathering together. So if you can't hear too well, don't worry about that. We'll make sure that we get these out to you very soon. So I'll hand over to Aimee to share that video with you.
My name is Newton Mapanzure. I am a project officer with Christian Care in Hassett district and Masvingo province in Zimbabwe. Christian Care is implementing a project which is meant to improve the livelihoods of the communities in Hassett district. Over the past 6 months, Christian Care has trained farmers in small value addition for small grains. That is specifically looking at sorghum, pea millet, and finger millet. The process there is to improve the amount of income the households can get after processing the small grain instead of selling them before processing. The other farmers have also been trained in value addition targeting fish farming. Under fish farming, have received training on how to process these fish. Some of the process involved drying the fish or refrigerating the fish so that they can sell them at a higher price. So in the meantime, Christian Care is trying to empower the communities where local leadership training has been given so that the committees know what to do, how to lead their projects, so that sustainability is strongly established in the communities. We wish and so much long that the churches in Australia continue to fund us, to source funds for us and pray for us so that there is harmony and their livelihoods continue to give them a source of living.
Over the past few months, we supported 50 households, reaching more than 300 individuals and a high number of persons with disability. Our goal has been to help families move from vulnerability towards self-reliance. More than 80 young people completed vocational training, and over 50 small businesses have been successfully established. Today, many families are earning an income, improving their savings, and some have been able to reduce their debts. All families now have enough food, but beyond the numbers, what truly matters is the human impact. One participant, Fatima, had a passion for making chocolate, but struggled for years to make her business succeed. Through the project, she received training, mentoring, and the support she needed to grow her idea. Today, she runs a successful business, supplies local shops, and produces large quantities every month. She told us, "This program made me successful." Stories like Fatima's remind us that with the right support, people are not just surviving, they are rebuilding their lives with hope and confidence. We would truly appreciate your continued support and prayers for strength, for opportunity, and for the lasting change. Thank you for standing with us.
Hello, my name is Titin Rezeki. I'm a program manager of YCWS, or you can say Yayasan Cita Wadah Swadaya. We are based in Indonesia. The CLEAR project have a goal to strengthening community in the area of flooding in the Makassar district, South Sulawesi. We have working in the 4 villages in this area, and currently we have face some improvement, such as we have a form of disaster village team that now they are actively involved in the preparedness program. They are taking action as a leader for the community about the disaster prevention. And second, we already set up the early warning system with the community. And the last thing is we also support the vulnerable community with the livelihood support so they can continue their livelihood after impacted by floodings. I recently met one of the community members who has savings machines broken and damaged because of floodings. We support her to repair the saving machines, and she can start work again as a tailor, and she can gain the results quickly, so she can support her grandchildren's educations.
Hi, I'm Samina Jamshed and I work with Community World Service Asia. There's a dire need of education. We are particularly working in desert areas, which are very, very remote areas, and where the government even is not able to reach. This was the third year in which, we achieved from zero enrollment of girls to 450 students, which is a huge achievement. And now after 3 years, I can with full confidence say that the community really wants their girls to go to school. And now as the community also wants, we started with one village and now we have 3 villages, and we have focused, we started with 3 schools and now we have 9 schools, but we want to expand it to other villages where it's very hard to reach. So we hope that we manage to give education to the girls who really need that, because it's their right. Thank you.
Today we stand on the balcony of our office, where you can see behind us the southern suburbs of Beirut that has been receiving attacks since the beginning of March. As you know, since the 2nd of March, Lebanon has been going through a crisis with more than 20% of the population already displaced. By now, we have more than 3,500 people injured and more than 1,300 casualties. And unfortunately, 20% of them, they are children. We have more than 121 children already killed by the incidents. The huge are needs as NCA, but also as all ACT members in Lebanon, we've been trying to respond to the needs. The needs are huge. We've been trying to provide shelter needs like mattresses, like pillows, blankets. It's still very cold this winter, but as well we've been providing food assistance with many members providing cooked meals, ready-to-eat kits, food kits, and hygiene kits, as well as other support needed like water and like diesel for the collective shelters.
Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. What is happening to Lebanon is not just happening to Lebanon, but it's also being affecting all of the region, all of the Middle East region. Currently, Gaza is a crisis within a crisis. The needs are immense and they keep on rising, as well as what is being faced in Iraq, in Jordan, in Syria, as well as Europe. Today, our ACT Alliance members are all over the region, working together to be able to support those that are most in need. What we ask of you all, and what we are trying to work through ACT for Peace, is for communications and ways of creating peace in these much needed times. We also ask for your prayers for safety for children, safety for elderly, safety for all humans that are being affected in this horrible war that is all over the region.
Thank you so much, Aimee, and thank you to all the partners on the ground who have shared these incredible videos. As we've seen, this is why this work matters so much. The Christmas Bowl and the work that you're supporting, it's happening all the time. And as we've seen in Lebanon, some of these events happen even after the Christmas Bowl has happened. But because of the incredibly generous funds that you have raised, we're able to be there and support people where and when it matters most. I'd now like to hand over to Ruthann to share about her recent experience visiting the work that you're supporting in Zimbabwe. So thank you, Ruthann.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And again, thank you to all of you. It's a privilege to be with you today. As Hannah just mentioned, I recently had the incredible opportunity to visit Zimbabwe, where I was able to spend some time with our partners there, Zimbabwe Council of Churches and Christian Care. And I was able to see firsthand the impact that they are having in their communities with your support. There are so many incredible stories of people that I met and projects that I visited that I could share with you today. But there's one particular story that I just wanted to focus on, and that's Jane's. Many of you might remember Jane. We shared her story through the Christmas Bowl just 2 or 3 seasons ago. For others, this might be the first time that you are being introduced to Jane. And so I hope you'll give me just a few minutes to tell you a little bit about all that this incredible woman has been through. Many of you might remember the horrific cyclone Idai, that hit Southern Africa in 2019. Its impacts were felt across the region, but particularly in Chimanimani, which is the district where Jane lived. In addition to the winds and the heavy rain and all the destruction that a cyclone brings with it, this cyclone triggered powerful landslides in the region, bringing mud and boulders down from the mountains and crushing absolutely everything in its path. The impacts were devastating. Entire communities were destroyed. Homes were lost, people were injured, and for many, livelihoods disappeared overnight. And for many families, it wasn't just possessions. Many family members, predominantly children, were lost as well. Jane was one of the people who were impacted in this crisis. Heartbreakingly, she lost her children. She was the only one in her family who survived. In the space of a single night, everything in Jane's life changed. Like so many others around the world today, Jane became displaced. She was forced from her home, not by choice, but by disaster. After the cyclone, Jane and many others in her situation spent 2 years living in emergency tents before they were eventually relocated to a new settlement. And while that felt like a fresh start, the reality was incredibly difficult. Families were told that they would be moved somewhere with better access to water and healthcare, but when they arrived, couldn't be further from the truth. Those things just weren't there. There was no reliable access to clean water. There was no nearby healthcare. There was very little infrastructure at all. The entire community relied on a single borehole, and people had to walk long distances each day just to collect water. For women, this often meant walking early in the morning or late at night, putting themselves at risk. And for Jane, this was even more challenging. She was still living with the impacts of her injuries from the cyclone, including a fractured skull. And yet, she was carrying heavy buckets of water on her head, long distances, just to try to meet her basic needs. As you can imagine, without water, everything becomes harder. You can't grow food, you can't maintain your hygiene, you can't care for your children in the way that you would want to. And alongside this, there were other pressures the community was facing too. Conditions were overcrowded, there were rising tensions with the host community and those who'd been displaced and moved there, and there was increasing risk of gender-based violence. So when we first met Jane a few years ago, she wasn't just rebuilding, she was still surviving. But even then, what stood out to my colleagues was her resilience. Despite everything she had been through, the loss, the trauma, the uncertainty, she was still showing up. She was still holding on. She still had hope, and she kept moving forward. And through the Christmas Bowl, support began to reach communities like the one where she was living. Working through trusted local partners and with the local community, people were able to start addressing some of the immediate and practical needs, like access to clean, safe water. And that matters because something as basic as water becomes accessible, everything begins to shift. Health improves, safety improves, time is freed up, and slowly people begin to rebuild. What I really want to share with you is Jane's story today. This is Jane now, and I had the privilege of meeting her just the beginning of this month. And the woman I met earlier this month is not the same woman that my colleagues first encountered a few years ago in the aftermath of the cyclone. Today, Jane is absolutely thriving. She is now raising a young daughter who was born after the cyclone, and there is a real sense of hope in her home again. She has access to clean water in her home, something that has completely transformed her daily life. She has a thriving garden. She has her own cattle and goats. But her story doesn't stop there. Jane is also now the chairperson of her community's water committee. She's taken on incredible responsibility within her community. She's become someone that others turn to, the person people call when there's a problem. She told us that whenever there's a problem, I know how to fix it. If a pipe cracks, if a tap breaks, if the system isn't working, people knock on her door. She goes, collects the tools, and fixes it. There is such a sense of pride in that, a confidence, and a deep sense of purpose. She is not just someone who is receiving support. She is someone who's playing a key role in making sure that it continues for others and that it is there for her entire community. And when you meet Jane, when you see her smile, when you listen to her speak, you realize you are not seeing recovery, you're seeing restoration. And this is what it can look like when communities are supported in ways that strengthen what's already there. When people are given the opportunity to rebuild, to contribute, to lead, and take their place within their community. Jane's story is just one story. Across the community, we saw the impact of your support in so many ways. We saw a school that is now opened, creating safer access to education for children who previously had to walk long distances, often unsafe, if they could get to school at all. We saw sports programs bringing people together from both the host and displaced communities. That might seem small, but this program is creating connection, restoring joy, and helping communities to heal after trauma. We met community protection officers like Ibo, people within the community who are now equipped to identify risks, respond to situations of vulnerability, and support families who are facing challenges. They're not just meeting immediate needs, but strengthening the community's ability to respond to challenges into the future. And through all of this, we saw the role of the church. Local churches, through partners like the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, walking alongside their communities, not just in moments of crisis, but over the long term. And that's where you come in, because none of this happens in isolation. Jane's story didn't change overnight, and it didn't change because one moment or one gift. It changed because churches like yours have continued to show up year after year, giving, praying, and standing alongside communities. So when you hear Jane's story, you're not just hearing about one woman in Zimbabwe. You're seeing what's possible when the church comes together to act for peace. And I just wanted to thank you for being a part of the incredible legacy of the Christmas Bowl. It was such a privilege for me to be able to visit Jane and others in her community and see how your gifts are changing lives. And I look forward to telling you more about the change that you're making possible in Zimbabwe over the coming months.
Thank you so much, Ruthann. I hope you are all as inspired as I am. Time and time again, I hear from churches saying, I give to the Christmas Bowl year after year, but I'm not sure about the impact that I make. And hearing stories like this reminds us that every gift and every prayer and every action matters, and it makes a difference. And it makes a difference to people's lives, just like Jane's. So thank you, Ruthann, for sharing that incredible story. I'd now like to hand back to Andrew as he shares, where do we go to from here? Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Hannah and Ruthann and Aimee for sharing some really powerful stories of change that's taking place right now. I did want to take this opportunity um, to share a little bit about Refugee Week, which is taking place between the 14th and the 20th of June. It is just an opportunity to stand with refugees and people that have been displaced and forced from their homes. Many of you probably know that Act for Peace was founded in 1949 to help millions of people that have been displaced because of World War II, and also to help churches resettle refugees in Australia. So this is really a core part of our history because we are part of a network of concerned ecumenical organizations, really believing in the power of shared humanity to address these types of crises. So Refugee Week is, as we see it, and we invite you to join us, a moment to pause and to reflect and to respond together um, around the realities of global displacement, and to respond in ways that are meaningful for you and your churches and congregations. We know that displacement and conflict devastates lives and futures, and it is taking place in Australia and around the world right now in very high numbers. So Refugee Sunday, which is part of Refugee Week, is due to take place on Sunday, the 14th of June. This is really an opportunity for congregations to learn more together about the experiences and the challenges, and as well as the resilience and opportunities of people that work together that have been displaced by conflict, disaster, or political persecution. It's an opportunity to pray together for refugees, displaced families, and communities that are rebuilding their lives. And it's really an act of solidarity through giving, speaking up, welcoming refugees, walking alongside and accompanying new arrivals to our communities and our countries, and through that process, ongoing learning for us and for others. So Refugee Sunday is rooted in the long tradition of Australian churches standing alongside displaced people. And it's grounded in the scripture, I was a stranger and you welcome me, which is Matthew 25:35. The day invites congregations to connect their faith with justice and recognize that following Jesus means more than feeling compassion. It means seeking justice, welcoming strangers, and putting our faith into action. And so the team here that you've met have done a lot of work to make it as easy as possible for you and other Australians to get involved. So with the team's created resources to support you and your churches and congregations, whether that's in worship, it's in prayer or small group discussions. Really, it's about something that your congregation and community can come together and step into. You will find these resources on our website, which is actforpeace.org.au. And you can go through those and decide what's the most appropriate way for you to get involved. And we would love to walk alongside you through Refugee Week and beyond. So finally, just a big thank you for everything that you are doing, for your partnership with Act for Peace and the communities that you've seen today during this webinar. We look forward to continuing and building on our strong collaboration and partnership. Thank you very much, and we look forward to being in touch again shortly. Thank you. Back to you, Hannah.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Now, before we close, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our wonderful speakers today for sharing so generously from their knowledge, their experience, and their hearts. And what a privilege it's been to hear directly from the field Stories like the ones that we've heard and the video that we've watched together remind us exactly why this work matters and why your involvement makes a real difference to real people around the world. And as Andrew shared, Refugee Week is coming up and there are practical ways that you can be involved. Please do take a moment to visit the website at actforpeace.org.au/for-churches to view the resources. And please, we are here to support you every step of the way. They are free to download and to support your church to celebrate Refugee Week this year. And thank you so much to all of you for giving up your afternoon to be here and join us. Your prayers, your generosity, and your support of the work means so much to all of us here and to the communities that we serve together. Thank you for joining us today.